This will be packet 12, round 12 of the 2024 PACE NSC. Round 12 is sponsored by Jay Winter, who has the following message. This round is sponsored by Quiz Bowl Cowboys LLC, offering Quiz Bowl Pro Match Manager software and wireless buzzers. Good luck to all the NSC competitors this weekend. Round 12, we have Hastings on the left and Richard Montgomery on the right. We do names and introductions, starting on the left.
Jacob. I'm Hazel.
Benny.
Owen. Whoa.
Rachel.
Josh.
Andrew.
Michelle.
Thank you. My name is Ryan. I went to UNC for undergrad. Starting at NYU in the fall, I'll be moderating this game.
Hi, I'm Bentley. I'm base treasurer and sporty.
All right. Everyone's right. We'll get started with toss-up 1. One of these texts encourages men to merge their speech with intellect by analogizing the path to wisdom but to walking on a razor's edge. These texts' denial of dual consciousness was praised by Erwin Schrödinger. A thinker praised these texts as the solace of my life and used their denial of a parallel reality to criticize the epistemologically inaccessible thing in itself. 4 great sayings from these texts studied by the Advaita school include that thou art that, or Tatsvam Asi. These texts' idea that the soul unites with the life force, or prana, at death heavily influenced Arthur Schopenhauer. Incorrect. The Katha and Isa are examples of these 108 Hindu texts. For 10 points, name these philosophical commentaries on the Vedas.
Sutras?
They are Upanishads.
Yeah, the other one.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No.
It's okay.
Cells in this region encode sequences via phase precession. Theta waves may originate from the trisynaptic circuit in this region between subregions like CA1 and CA3. A structural MRI study by Eleanor McGuire's lab found that the size of this region was positively correlated.
Hippocampus?
That's 20.
Nice.
For Hebrew, this method may involve replacing the guttural consonant chet with digraphs ch or kh. For 10 points each, name this method of replacing each character in one script with a unique sequence of characters in a non-native script. The Wade-Giles system and Pinyin romanized Chinese via this method.
Transliteration.
Yeah, transliteration.
2 answers required. These 2 languages are considered by some to be the same because converting between them is accomplished by transliterating between Devanagari and a Perso-Arabic script.
Is that right?
Yeah, Urdu and Hindi.
Romanizations of this language, such as the transliterative Hepburn romanization, are natively called Romaji. These languages' 3 scripts are Kanji, Hiragana, and Katakana.
Yeah, Japanese.
That is 30.
All right. Let's go.
Toss-up 3. John Yuri betrayed a plot to kidnap 3 noblemen from this kingdom known simply as the Incident. The Earl of Aran's mother threatened to shoot him in the bowels during his attempted invasion of this kingdom. The chase about raid was a rebellion against a ruler of this kingdom who employed the courtier David Rizzio. September 3rd.
Scotland?
That's 20.
Good Scots.
Oh my god, you're crazy.
These things are called windows looking in upon fiery reality, in the prologue to a collection whose first story describes parents trapped in a simulation of the African savannah. For 10 points each, name these things, one of which depicts a man being strangled and is given by a time-traveling witch to the title Carnival Worker of a 1951 collection.
What these things, like, what are, like...
Answer?
Photographs?
They're tattoos.
Oh,
Tattoos connect the stories of the illustrated man, a collection by this author of Fahrenheit 451.
Bradbury.
In this Bradbury novel, Mr. Dark has moving tattoos depicting the faces of those tricked into joining his carnival. This novel's title follows the phrase, "by the pricking of my thumbs," in a line from the witches in Macbeth.
Yeah, something wicked this way comes.
That is 20 for the last 2.
Nice.
Toss-up 4. These creatures possess a dipshing talisman which renders them invisible. Actor Jimmy Stewart smuggled the Pangboche hand allegedly belonging to this creature by hiding it in his wife's luggage. Henry Newman's mistranslation of Metokangmi to filthy led him to coin an alternate name for this creature. The 1960-61 Silver Hut expedition hunted this creature, which may be mistaken for a langur or a blue bear. Photographs taken by Eric Shipton used an ice axe to...
Getty?
Yeah.
Nice.
I was thinking that. Yeah,
I was thinking Bigfoot, but I was like, I'm doing
Oh, that is.
Yeah.
During this conflict, Kuwaiti oil tankers were given permission to fly American flags of convenience for their protection. For 10 points each, name this bloody conflict of the 1980s between a Sunni-dominated country led by Saddam Hussein and Shia-led Eastern neighbor.
Iran-Iraq War.
A video of this U.S. official shaking hands with Saddam Hussein was taken down during the Iran-Iraq War. This man later discussed unknown unknowns as Secretary of Defense under George W. Bush.
Donald Rumsfeld.
After the war, this North Carolina senator called for sanctions on Iraq. This future Senate Foreign Relations Committee chair lends his name to amendments prohibiting education about AIDS.
Not sure.
Amendments.
Tills.
Jesse Helms.
Let's go.
So that is 20 for the first two, toss up 5. This state's waterfall-rich Arbuckle Mountains are home to the largest Christian youth camp in the U.S. It's not Kansas, but in 1907, the American Bison Society shipped 15 bison to a refugee in the state's Wichita Mountains. A college town, this state is home to the NWS's Storm Prediction Center. In 2014, the state had twice as many earthquakes as California due to waste.
Alaska?
Incorrect. Due to wastewater disposal from the fracking industry. The state's northeastern green country contains part of the Will Rogers Turnpike as well as the state of Tahlequah, where road signs use the syllabary in the Tibet Sequoia. This state houses the headquarters of the Cherokee Nation. For 10 points, in the state home to the oil boom town of Tulsa.
Oklahoma.
10. You are trying to analyze a circuit for a problem set due tonight. For 10 points each, you debate whether to use mesh analysis or an analysis named for these equal voltage points. These points share their name with points where a standing wave has 0 amplitude.
Nodes.
Using mesh analysis, you find the mesh values of this quantity across the circuit. This quantity is measured in amperes.
Current.
You find an equivalent circuit with this theorem, which states that any linear two-terminal circuit can be expressed as a current source in parallel with a resistor. Use of this theorem is replaced with the use of its dual theorem by substituting current with voltage.
Yeah, I should know this.
Answer?
Gauss.
Norton's theorem.
Yeah, let's go.
That is first 2 for 20, toss up 6.
Let's go.
Early computational models showcasing this property were programmed by Ellen Feder in a role that she took over from Margaret Hamilton. Systems with this property's quantum form can retain scarring linked to their classical analogs. This property tells a 1987 James Gleick book about making a new science that discusses Feigenbaum's characterization of period doubling bifurcations. Curves that may...
Like chaotic?
Yeah, that's 20.
Nice.
Nice.
Chaotic.
Sophia used Kuhnbos to advise this activity, which is performed in the Kitab Stam style. For 10 points each, name this action which acts as the last of the 613 commandments and is based on Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 19. Errors like misplacing crowns, called tajin, are corrected with gold-plated knives while performing this action.
Being good. Praying.
Answer?
Praying.
It's writing the Torah. When writing a Torah scroll, Sophia typically used a turkey quill on parchment made from an animal with this status, meaning it's permissible under dietary laws.
Kosher.
Before writing the Torah, Sophia most undergo tefillah by immersing themselves in these ritual baths, also used by women after menstruation and childbirth.
I think it's mikveh. Mikveh?
That is last 2 for 20.
Nice.
Let's go.
Toss up 7. A work by this author opens with a dead couple rising from the ground in the title location to ask people to take their case. In a play by this author, Amsa is disgusted when 2 characters wear costumes to a ball that they had earlier removed from locals. The title dictator of a play by this author requests a ceremonial.
Oyinka?
Yep.
Good buzz.
Wait, what? 20?
20.
Nice. Alright, let's go.
The collection Being Human shows many of these animals with human bodies, including a crowd of them dressed in angelic robes, and 2 of them dressed in Civil War garb. For 10 points each, name these frequent, slightly unsettling subjects of William Wegman. A Cassius Coolidge painting shows these pets playing poker.
Dogs.
Yeah, dogs, yeah.
Wegman's dog, Man Ray, posed with a banjo and a photograph of this blue period Pablo Picasso painting of an elderly man twisted around an instrument.
The old good. Tourist.
Yep. Fay Ray, an actress known for her role in this movie, inspired the name of another of Wegman's dogs. For Ray's role in this movie, she was told she would have the tallest, darkest leading man in Hollywood.
Tallest, darkest leading man.
No idea.
Who's the tall,
Answer.
dark leading man?
Shawshank Redemption.
It's King Kong.
Oh, okay.
He's the amateur on top of the Empire State Building.
All right, let's go.
All right, we'll toss up 8. This sea's oldest known archaeological site, which consists of a shell midden made by the Archeroid people, is Balmoral Trace. A matrilineal culture from around this sea made 3-point stone sculptures of spirits called Zemis. Aguebana and Enriquillo were leaders of an indigenous group that lived in this sea, who took the title Cacique. The Garifuna descended from inhabitants of an island in...
Just Caribbean.
I thought it was saying city.
No,
Members of this community often worship Ardhanari, an androgynous deity formed from the union of Shiva and Parvati. For 10 points each, give this term for the third sex in the Indian subcontinent, which today includes transgender and intersex people.
Third sex.
No.
Two
Dalit.
spirit.
It's Hydra. This author created the Hydra character Anjum in the novel The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. A novel by this author set during the time of the Love Laws features the orange drink lemon drink man.
Roy direct.
Hydra communities are typically led by people known by this term. This Sanskrit word for teacher is also used to refer to Sikh leaders like Nanak and Gobind Singh.
Yeah, Guru. Let's go.
That is 20 for the last 2. Toss up 9. The title role of an opera by this composer was originated by Gerald Finley and was originally envisioned as a modern-day Faust. Puccini's La Fanciulla del West inspired this composer's opera about the California gold rush. The title character of an opera by this composer repeats the word news 12 times.
Adams.
That's 20.
Nice.
Fucking crazy.
this is.
This author quoted Mephistopheles' line, "Theory, my friend, is gray, but green is the eternal tree of life," in his Letters on Tactics. For 10 points each, name this man whose love of Nikolai Chernyshevsky inspired the name of his first treatise, What Is to Be Done. Socialist realism emerged after this Bolshevik leader's death.
Lenin.
Lenin was fluent in Latin and read the satires by this Roman author who coined the phrases bread and circuses and who watches the Watchmen.
Juvenile.
It's, is it Marshall or Juvenile? I think it's Marshall.
Marshall.
Or,
Juvenile.
Yeah, it is Juvenile,
Okay.
right.
Lenin often lambasted this landowner created by Ivan Goncharov. This character's name became a byword for absurd laziness due to his unwillingness to roll out of bed.
Ivan Goncharov. I don't know. Boris Godunov.
Answer?
Boris Godunov.
Oblomov. So that is 10 for the first part. Toss up 10. This quantity and oblateness may be in a positive feedback loop mediated by hypothesized climate friction. An ongoing decrease in this quantity creates annual insolation anomalies and increases glaciation at high latitudes. In Milankovitch cycles, the 41,000-year period for this quantity is slower than precession, but faster than eccentricity. Most of the Earth's value for this quantity...
Like the tilt of the angle of Earth.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you're crazy.
That is 20.
Oh,
Good.
You're so good.
A judicial work named for the city of Turin recounts how a holder of this title received a prosthetic toe after his assassins were tried. For 10 points each, give this title held by a ruler who, according to the historian Manetho, was killed by his bodyguards and subjected to a damnatio memoriae. The harem conspiracy targeted a different holder of this title.
Emperor.
Yeah.
Roman Emperor.
Pharaoh.
Oh.
The harem conspiracy targeted a ruler of this name who defeated the Sea Peoples. An earlier ruler with this name won the Battle of Kadesh.
Ramses. Yeah.
The story of Sinuhe references the murder of Amenemhat I, a ruler of this Egyptian kingdom that ruled between the first 2 intermediate periods.
I think it's the
Answer?
Okay. Income.
That's 20.
Good
Nice.
job.
Good call.
Alright.
All right, at the half, I have 120 for Hastings, 210 for RMA.
Okay.
All right,
Let's go.
toss up 11. This author's daughter wrote a 2013 novel titled For the Kenyan Man Ade and earlier coined the term third wave feminism. The title character of a novel by this author helps cut down a magnolia tree during a protest and later leaves poems on her walls for Truman Lind. In a novel by this author, a character is arrested for punching the mayor after saying hell no in response to the mayor's wife asking if she would be their maid. In an essay, this author described leaving a new gravestone reading,
Walker.
that's 10.
Nice.
In 2023, the European Chemical Agency proposed a blanket ban on more than 10,000 fluoropolymers that can degrade into these chemicals. For 10 points each, give this general term for chemicals that cause cancer.
Carcinogens.
The band would include this simple polymer, a chain of carbon atoms completely saturated by fluorine. You may give either its real name or its brand name, an inert coating sold by DuPont.
Teflon. Teflon?
Or polytetrafluoroethylene.
Thanks, yeah.
Also on the chopping block is PVDF, a polymer used in industrial pressure and voltage sensors because it has this physical property. A scanning probe microscope's tip is controlled with nanometer precision by a ceramic tube scanner with this property.
I want to say piezoelectric.
Go.
Piezoelectric.
Alright, it's 30.
Good.
Alright, let's go.
Toss up 12. This city's KKK-backed mayor, Charles Bowles, is opposed by a young Reinhold Niebuhr. A hunger march beginning in this city preceding an event in a suburb where Harry Bennett led security forces.
Detroit.
That's 20. Let's go. In 2011, this country's capital adopted a license plate lottery system to incentivize the purchase of electric cars. For 10 points each, name this country whose top-selling car manufacturer, BYD, began as a battery business in Shenzhen.
China.
BYD's D1 minivan was developed specifically for use by drivers of this rideshare service, which in 2016 bought out its main competitor, Uber China.
It's I forget what the Chinese rideshare is called, but there's a name for it and it's Chinese.
Answer?
Forget.
DD?
Yeah, that's right.
In 2021, BYD began sales in this European country, which at over 80% has the world's highest percentage of electric cars for new car sales. Its city of Lillehammer has a battery swap station that can quickly replace low-charge car batteries with full ones.
I'm pretty sure it's Helsinki, so Finland. Finland?
Norway.
Ah, you're good.
So that was 10 for the first part, toss up 13. A piece in this musical form begins with a melodic fragment, B flat, G, long C, long A. According to Arnold Schoenberg, Brahms mastered a technique of developing this musical form. Brahms orchestrated a piece in this form from his version for two pianos that quotes the Chorale St. Anthony. The cellist Wilhelm Fitzenhagen revised the Tchaikovsky composition in this form inspired by Rococo music.
Variations.
That's 10.
He's good.
On a visit to a walled cave, a member of this family finds a beloved wooden cross from her childhood that she received as a birthday gift from Torito. For 10 points each, name this family whose member Violetta writes letters to her grandson in the framed narrative of a 2022 novella. This is the family name of the protagonist of Portrait in Sepia.
Oh, whatever. It's the Isabel Allende, various last names.
Answer?
Allende.
It's Del Valle. The Del Valle family features in several novels by this Chilean author of the magical realist novel The House of the Spirits.
Allende.
Clara Del Valle temporarily develops this condition after witnessing the autopsy of her sister. She finally overcomes this condition when she gets a premonition of her wedding.
Meet.
Yep. Last two for 20.
Alright, let's go.
Toss up 14. In Astilla, King Mesha boasts of presenting this deity's altars to Kamosh after reconquering territory lost to King Omri. Both the Amara West and Soleb inscriptions mention this potential deity of the nomadic Shashu, who is central to the Kenite hypothesis. William G. Denver popularized the theory that Asherah was the consort of this deity.
Seth.
Incorrect. Who gained the epithet Shaddai following synchronization with El. A taboo on speaking this deity's name, resulting in substitution was with the word Adonai and Elohim. The Tetragrammaton's 4 letters represent this jealous deity whose Levantine cult gradually supplanted Baals. For 10 points, a commandment forbids taking in vain the name of what is Yahweh. Sorry. 2 answers required. The Harke-Bera test statistic is a function of n and these 2 quantities. For 10 points each, name the 3rd and 4th standardized moments of a distribution. A distribution may be right or left with respect to one of these quantities, and lepto or platy with respect to the other.
Like the skew in something.
Answer?
Skew and tilt.
It's skew and kurtosis, or skewness and kurtosis. Skewness measures the directional bias of these low likelihood regions of a distribution, while kurtosis measures how heavy they are. Hypothesis tests may be named for using one or both of these regions to calculate p-values.
Outlier? Maximum, minimum?
Outliers.
They're tails. Low tail area enables the rejection of this hypothesis, denoted H sub 0, as contrasted with the alternative hypothesis.
Null hypothesis.
Null
hypothesis.
Yep.
Timeout.
Okay.
Yep.
We are going into question 15. I have a score of Richard Montgomery 300, Hastings 150.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. School.
Rates of this process are the edge weights in a stepping stone model. The rate of this process increases with area in the target effect and co-varies with extinction in island biogeography. This process rescues the dying patches in the metapopulation. Zooplankton do this process dial, or every day, in a vertical direction. In matrix models, the net rate of this process plus birth rate minus death rate equals the change in population size.
Migration.
Yep.
Let's go. Good vibes. Thank you.
In the Union lyrics to Dixie, the South is called a land of traders, these animals, and alligators.
Rattlesnakes.
An eagle named Old Abe ripped apart rattlesnakes during the downtime of this campaign. The end of this campaign on July 4th, 1863, completed the Anaconda Plan.
Like the Siege of Vicksburg, I think. Yeah. Siege of Vicksburg.
Cartoonists frequently depicted this anti-war Ohio congressman as a snake since he was leader of the Copperheads. This man accidentally shot himself and died during a legal defense.
Shoes. Copperhead, so like Valdingham?
It's Clement Vallandigham.
Vallandigham.
Oh,
What?
That's crazy.
That's a reading.
So that is 20 for the first two, toss up 16.
No.
Description acceptable. A character demonstrates his resolution to obtain this object by burning all the trophies of his former loves at an altar. A poem about this object may have been inspired by a similarly named Alessandro Tassoni poem titled For a Bucket. At the end of a work, this object goes missing and is declared to be mounted to the lunar sphere as a constellation. Paradise Lost is quoted to describe the fate of a guardian sylph who was sliced in half during the theft of this object. This object is stolen on the third try with the help of a set of glittering scissors. For 10 points.
The lock.
Yes.
Did you know? Thank you for the
Brian Balmages composed Kiev 2022 as a sequel to his piece Moscow 1941 that is often played by students in these ensembles. For 10 points each, name this general type of ensemble composed of wind and percussion instruments contrasted with string orchestras.
Band.
That is all I need. Works of this type inspired concert band staples, like each of the 6 movements of Percy Granger's Lancashire Posy. A suite by Vaughan Williams is titled For English Ones.
Rounds.
They are folk songs.
Okay.
Balmages is from this city, the home of the oldest conservatory in the U.S., the Peabody Institute. In 2023, Jonathan Hayward succeeded Moraine Alsop as music director of the city's symphony orchestra.
Baltimore.
That is first and last for 20. Toss up 17. George H.W. Bush engaged in this activity with Michael Armacosta and Akihito a few hours before he barfed on Japanese Prime Minister
Tennis.
Nice.
Good, but
That's wild.
In 1901, 60% of all working Jewish men in the UK had this job. For 10 points each, name this profession whose members coined the modern usage of the word bespoke. It's not hairdressing, but people in this profession on Savile Row might provide a British cut.
I'm pretty sure it's Taylor.
Butcher.
Okay.
Butcher.
Oh. No,
It's Taylor?
Nice.
In the 1950s and 60s, Jewish tailors like Mr. Fish provided outfits in this style based on jazz and French New Wave cinema. Youths from this subculture clashed with the rockers in the Second Battle of Hastings in 1964.
This like punk.
1960, but it's the 60s. Oh, punk, it's British, so maybe.
Okay.
Punk?
Mods.
Okay.
Mods and rockers. In the early 1940s, British designers created purses fit with gas masks, glow-in-the-dark pins, and other utility clothes during this German bombing campaign that devastated London.
The Blitz.
First and last for 20.
Let's go.
Toss up 18.
We need 3.
A painting by this artist in which a giant man's torso in a fighting posture dominates the canvas is used as the cover of John Berger's Landscapes. In a painting by this artist...
Thomas Cole.
Incorrect, no penalty. In a painting by this artist, a man levitates in the air with his hands bound behind his back by the fates. That painting is part of a series by this artist, which also includes a painting depicting 2 men in tall grass swinging clubs at each other, titled Fight with Cudgels. Rosario Zoria and her mother, Leocadia Weiss, helped care for this artist after he went deaf in old age. The only source of light in a painting by this artist is a box lantern facing a soon-to-be executed man in a white shirt. For 10 points, the black paintings are by what Spanish artist of the 3rd of May, 1800.
Goya.
Yep.
Good buzz.
Though Mary Berenson largely wrote and edited an 1894 history of this city's Renaissance painters, the book was solely credited to her husband Bernard. For 10 points each, in this Italian city whose native painter Canaletto fittingly painted its canals.
Yeah, Venice.
Mary claimed she was grappling with this artist in her own Hampton Court guide. This artist of the miracle of the slave created a scene of the Last Supper at a diagonal table.
Titian?
Tintoretto.
Oh.
Bernard Berenson claimed every critic had a private painting by this artist, whose works he routinely reattributed to a student of this artist. A shepherd appears below a dark blue sky with a lightning bolt and a paint by this artist.
Isn't that the one with the wax wings falling? Isn't that the
Answer? It's Giorgio.
What?
Yeah.
So that's 10. With 2 to go, I have Richard Montgomery 330, Hastings 240.
Sorry, we need 50 and 40.
Toss up 19. The efficacy of drugs with this property is enhanced by the crossfire effect. A common drug that has this property is purified by milking a moly cow and is denoted with the suffix 99M. Drugs with this property are used for theranostics like SPECT. Dosing of drugs with this property is calculated by comparing the effective and absorbed joules per kilogram measured in either grays or sieverts. Chemicals like fluorodeoxyglucose that have this property.
Radioactive.
10.
That's a good game, though. Solid. We're a bad matchup with them.
In a short story by this author, the protagonist and Joes lick their fingers with that absorbed inward look that only comes from whipped cream after Cook gives them fancy cream puffs. For 10 points each, name this author who wrote a story in which a girl brings a basket of sandwiches, cakes, puffs, all uneaten, over to a cottage.
Mansfield. Direct.
The aforementioned Mansfield story is told for a party in one of these places, a secret one of which is visited by Mary Lennox in a novel by Frances Hodgson Burnett.
Garden. Direct.
Garden?
Garden.
Huh?
Garden.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, she said that.
Oh, okay, sorry. I heard party for some reason. Okay. In Mansfield's story Bliss, Bertha and Miss Bolton admire one of these plants. One of these plants represents Janie's sexuality, and their eyes were watching God.
Pear tree. No.
Yeah, pear tree.
Drive.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, it's 30.
We're good.
And toss up 20. One of these characters dreams of talking in a strange new language to another who finds a cottage with a garden and dogs. Hollemeyer and Fabry block these characters with...
Robot.
That's 20.
Yeah, that's
You're crazy.
A wicked fox spirit from this region consumes her victim's livers in the hopes of becoming human. For 10 points each, name this region where grandmother Samson protects children until they turn 7. A bear woman who emerged from a cave gave birth to this region's first king.
Korea.
Nice.
Samson Halmeoni is depicted in this form, a trait she shares with the Morrigan and the lunar deity Hecate, goddesses exemplified by this archetype of aspects dubbed mother and crone.
Witch. Bird. I like bird. Witch.
Answer?
Old.
It's a triple goddess, or tripartite goddess. Samson Halmeoni is identified with a particularly warm part of this type of location. In a grim tale, a location of this type made up of bread and cake is discovered by Hansel and Gretel.
House.
Direct.
Yep. First and last for 20, and that is the game. Final score, Richard Montgomery 410, Hastings 240. Good game, both teams.
Good game.
good game.
You guys are insane.